All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Love the game 24/7 podcast followers. Appreciate you guys joining me once again on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, summer Saturday afternoon. Coach Smith coming to you live from North Carolina. And I'm excited to continue uh, to do this and get as many people the information that they need for their young athlete, for their young boy, their young girl, or their young man or young lady, athlete. Some great recruiting insight. It's always exciting to do this. I'm getting more and more comfortable, and I'm continuing to hope and pray that you guys get more and more comfortable, and more word gets out there about um, how you can get some great information for your young person to achieve their dream and goal of playing a college sport and getting a scholarship, earning a scholarship. And it's not as easy as you think, and it's also not as hard as you think if you have your focus in the right places, if you have your preparation in the right place, or going in the right direction. So I want to thank you once again for joining me, Coach Smith, with Love the Game 24/7 podcast. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button on my YouTube channel and subscribe, share with those you know and love, that have a young person, a young athlete, um, that wants to uh, get some great recruiting knowledge and information from someone like myself, who I feel I'm a subject matter expert since I lived this out myself, and also have helped many as well. Coach for 12, 13 years in Florida, high school football where I grew up. Coach my own kids in little league sports and high school sports. Followed behind two older brothers who played high school and college sports, and one older brother who played pro ball. Followed in his steps, doing the same thing, getting myself an opportunity to play pro football at the highest level, NFL, Arena League. Older brother went on to play the same NFL, Canadian League, and Arena League. So I come to you with personal knowledge and experience in this recruiting game, even in the changing environment of recruiting. As I said, I've been a coach um, in high school sports for quite some time. And in the process, I'm going to be working on getting myself certified as a referee here in North Carolina for high school sports, and as well as Pop Warner in middle school sports, football and basketball. So that's what I'm going to be working on this summer. What are you working on this summer? What are you focusing on this summer? Right. So everybody should be doing something. So just want to be sure I just shared that with you guys. I'm also live on IG, love the game 24_7. Live on my YouTube channel, love the game 24_7. Right. And I'm also live on Facebook. You can follow me, but I'm also on IG under Coach Smith 27. So, follow me there, see some of my postings and all that good information I put out there. Not just myself, there are other people that I follow that I think are good people to listen to as well, to give you some insight on training, on recruiting, um, all those good things. I put together uh, a digital course, 10-week digital course. For those of you who are interested, you can contact me at love the 24/7 game at gmail.com. Once again, that's love the game at love the 24/7 game at gmail.com. Excuse me for that mishap. But love the 24/7 game at gmail.com is my email. You can get in contact with Coach Smith, and how you can get some personal training or some group training, whether it's for your middle school sports teams or your high school sports teams. Doesn't matter. I'm working with my buddy, who I just came out and saw back in Sioux City, Iowa, where I went to college and played college football there at Division II, NCAA Division II program, Morningside College, during my time, or our time there. He's at Sioux City West High School. former NBA star Kirk Heinrich is a graduate of Sioux City West High School. My buddy Pearson is the head coach of the football team, newly named head coach. I'll be working with um, several of his athletes of his or our choosing to help with their recruiting. It's going to be um, joining and partnering with Love the Game 24/7, our program to help his kids get recruiting with their recruiting. So I'm excited, to let you guys know about that. I also shared that I'm reaching out to several people that I know to do some interviews this month. I'm excited about doing that, taking this podcast to another level where it's not just me. And like I've always said, recruiting is recruiting, no matter if you're male or female, no matter what sport you play. I also have 25 years in higher education and financial aid. And so, I can also give insight to that area as far as dealing with the FAFSA application, scholarship searches, whether your young person is an athlete or not. I also have information of having that kind of experience. So I'm working on doing interviews and getting those scheduled. So those things will be coming here soon and shortly to give you some insight from some other people that I'm connected with that I grew up with from uh, former high school. Uh, well, we played college together. He was a high school teammate of my brother, and college teammate, and also was my college teammate in football and track at Morningside. Um, I'll be getting something scheduled with him to talk about compliance because he worked at several universities in athletics on compliance. So we're going to be coming from that direction. Talking to another buddy of mine that I grew up with that um, was a major basketball athlete growing up, but also had a love for volleyball. And he's one of the biggest um, people, biggest names in volleyball for mostly young girls, middle school and high school age, and helping them with recruiting. Um, so those things I'm setting up. I also have former, well, I shouldn't say former, but we were classmates in high school. She was she was all state in basketball, I believe volleyball, track and field, and she went on to star at University of Iowa herself back in the late 80s under Vivian Stringer, Nicole Tunsil. I've reached out to her before, and I just need to follow back up with her. She played pro basketball, now doing great things back at our high school in St. Pete, Lakewood High School, the Spartans. We put out a lot of great athletes, a lot of great people, a lot of great things. Hey Dexter, I appreciate you. I definitely, my buddy Dexter's on Facebook, just giving me a message. I appreciate it. Yep, I want to get your story out there, man, and let people hear your story because it's what it's all about, hearing stories so people can be encouraged to know that they have an opportunity if um, if they just follow what some of us who have been through it and want to help. And we just want to encourage you to follow your dream of playing sport. So, yep, I'm going to get Dexter Rogers on here. He's one of the biggest names in volleyball back home in Florida, and I'm sure he's known. I've run into people. It's amazing, and I don't know, and I'm going to share this since I know Dexter's on here. I have run into people in my travels and talked to people and found out that they are familiar with him being because they have a young athlete, young lady playing volleyball, and like, oh, you know Dexter Rogers? Like, yeah, I know Dexter Rogers. We grew up together. It's like, yeah, well, I got my daughter in his volleyball academy that he does in Florida. So his name is out there. Just at random, just blew me away. That has happened to me before in my travels and running into people and just pulling up a conversation with somebody on a plane or whatever and find out that they were familiar with him and what he's doing in volleyball and helping young ladies. And I know, being that I coached at Clearwater Central Catholic, he's had several young ladies from that high school that I know that he's helped them with their volleyball skills and helping them get recruited in college. And I want to have him on so he can talk about how you can do that for your young lady, but also for you young boys out there who are volleyball athletes. When you hear his story, because we didn't have volleyball in our high schools in Florida growing up. Um, but I'm not going to share his story. I want him to tell it. But it's a great story for where he's at, what he's doing in volleyball space. It's just amazing how he's grown, and the young athletes that he's touched and that are doing great things in volleyball and playing major volleyball. So gonna have Dexter. We're gonna talk tomorrow and get some things scheduled to get him to come on this podcast and share his story. I'm excited about that. And just like I said, Nicole Tunsil, I got to run her down. She's doing great things back at the high school with the girls basketball program back at our alma mater at Lakewood. She's getting girls in college. She's helping them better their game. She's teaching them about how to get exposed, um, gain exposure. So it's a lot going on, a lot of exciting things going on. And like I said, I don't want you to just hear from Coach Smith. There are a lot of people that I've had the blessing of growing up with, and from my community in St. Petersburg, Florida, in a lot of areas. Have a two great friends of mine, married couple that we all went to high school together. And he's a businessman, works for UPS, but his wife is a judge back home. So things like that. People. I'm going to run down Pat Terrell. I've touched base with him. He went started Notre Dame with Tim Brown and Jerome Bettis back in the day at Notre Dame when he played college ball and had the blessing of playing in the NFL for about 8 or 9 years. But he used that to become an airline pilot after he retired from football. So it's a lot of great stories like that, and also what he's doing now today. So these are some people that I'm going to be running down, and I know they've already shared with me that they love to come on the show, and I'm excited about it. Um, and so these are some things that you need to hear, um, and it's going to help encourage you, no matter where you're from, no matter I don't care your you know race, I don't care what socioeconomic you come from or background you come from. If you have a dream, a goal, and desire to want to play athletics at the next level from high school to college and potentially pros or Olympics, you know, um, you can do that. But it starts with your preparation. It starts with a mental focus. It starts with your physical and mental preparation. You getting yourself around the right kind of people that's going to help you fulfill your dream and goal. And that starts with you parents. I've shared um, how excuse me, I had a plan for my kids. I always say, man, if I had kids, this is what, and if they got any kind of athletic ability, I'm gonna find out, and I know they should at least. My wife played softball initially when she was growing up, so I know she has some athletic ability. Um, I come from a family of athletes, brothers, cousins, you name it. You know, so you gotta be sure that you have a plan, that you have a goal in mind, and that you also find people who can help you, right? Just like I've spoken about my son growing up playing quarterback and how I invested in having him have a quarterback coach, right? Or if you're playing wide receiver, Coach Rod Williams has coached many young men back from our hometown, back in St. Petersburg, like Lewis Murphy, who made it to the NFL from Lakewood High School. I could rattle off several others, even the Griffin twins and different people he's helped train back home. A lot of these kids went on to go to play major college football, and some of them have gone on to play pro ball. So you got to find some people who are experts, some people who are invested just as much as you as a parent. They're invested in your kid and they care about your young athlete, and they're going to put into them. They're going to just pour into them and make sure that they have the mental and physical preparation and focus that they need to have, that's going to help elevate them to the next level. Because my ultimate goal, like I've said, is really, it's not about the sport. It's really about how to get your education, your college education paid for, right? How to utilize that gift and talent. You might be good in band, and you might need to focus on getting in the jazz band in college or the marching band in college, and because there's scholarship money for that. There's scholarship money for cheerleading in certain colleges and universities that can help go towards paying for your education. So when you have a blessing of a physical gift and talent of playing a sport, it's really about using that to take the financial burden off yourself in paying, having your parents to pay for your education. So parents got to invest now, middle school, all the way up, even elementary school. In some ways, if your kid shows that soon, but definitely by middle school, your young athlete, your young person should be showing some sort of love for, several sports, and it doesn't take you constantly having to convince them to go to practice or to train or learn and do the things that they need to do to help them get better at that sport. It should just come natural to them because they realize themselves. And young people, they will realize it and see that they have a gift and talent. So um, and it also helps them, learn how to build relationships, right, with teammates and all those different things. So so today's topic was, what is your summer focus? What are you doing this off season? I know a lot of guys complain, hey, um, I didn't get as much playing time, or I thought this or that, and maybe uh, you need to develop your skill better. Maybe that's why you didn't get as much playing time, or maybe you and the high school coach had some issues. So, take this time for this summer to reflect on how you can do better, how you can have a better relationship with your coach, right? Make sure you're showing up for summer workouts, right? Make sure you're showing that the coach sees that you're bought into the program, that you're gonna be sure you communicate that if you're not going to be there, whether it's because of work or something that's going on, that you communicate with the coach early and help them to know, hey, I'm not missing because I don't want to be there, coach. I'm not there because I got to work, but I'm still gonna come in. Um, or if I'm able to come in, maybe reschedule a time where you can come in and get your lifting in, like that you need to get in, or conditioning, whatever it is that the coach's summer plan is. But you got to be sure, if you had some struggles in some areas, like with your coach, and we got to also hope that some of these coaches, are mature enough as well, realizing that they're dealing with a young person and not an adult, and that they need to work with you and be a mentor and be a coach, right? I remember Coach Tomlin doing an interview on Ryan Clark's The Pivot um, some months back, and he shared when he hears coaches complain, he don't really fault the athlete as much as he would fault the coach, because it's like, when coaches start complaining, that means you may not you're trying to get out of coaching somebody. Stop complaining about the athlete and start coaching them. Start, sit down with them and tell them where they're struggling at, where they're not doing a good job at. It's not just about coaching them in their sport. Sometimes you got to coach them in life, and I know a lot of coaches do this. But as Coach Tomlin said, when he starts hearing any coach start complaining about the athlete, well, he's not getting this or she's not doing this right or blah blah this and that. Then I remember Coach Tomlin saying, then I got to ask you as a coach, well, what are you done to figure out how to help them learn, you know, that which you want them to learn? Why are they struggling? Have you sat down with that athlete to figure out? Could be something going on at home, right? Could be a lot of different things. Okay. And then you as an athlete, when your coach, when you find a program and you have a coach that's committed to doing those things, then you got to make sure you show some appreciation and, you know, let the coach know and be open and honest about what's really going on so they can help you. Okay. It works both ways. It can't be one sided. Everybody has to work together. Everybody has to communicate. So if the athlete, you're complaining about your playing time and this or that, you know, where has your commitment been? Look at yourself in the mirror. Were you committed to the program? Did you buy in to the program on what the coach standards were, right? And coaches, you got to be sure that if you have a standard, you got to be sure that you're representing that standard yourself. You're the adult, okay? We can't hold young people accountable to something and we're not being a good example of it. Okay, we just can't talk the talk, right, as coaches, right? We got to walk it out, just like we want our athletes to walk it out. You got to stand on business, just like we want our athletes to stand on business. They need somebody to show them, to be an example before them, right? And even when sometimes a kid may be disrespectful, doesn't mean you as a coach go be disrespectful. They got to see somebody showing them some respect. I always demanded respect. I told my athletes every time, I demand respect from you, and because I demand respect from you, I'm going to give it to you first, even when you're disrespectful, right? even when you're disrespectful. That doesn't mean I should turn around as a coach as an adult and be disrespectful back to a young person. That I used to see stuff. I would see stuff like that, and even as a young person, I used to be like, man, coach, man, Joe, this coach got, man, something going on, like, so you as a coach got to be that example for these young people. And so, and like I said, because I demanded respect from my athletes when I coached them, and I would tell them flat out, I'm gonna give it to you first. I'm gonna show you what respect looks like, because I know some of them don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. Some of them just don't know, right? And I'm not gonna fault them for that. I want the best for them as a coach. I want to be sure that when I see an athlete who has that desire to want to go to the next level in whatever sport I was coaching, from football to track and field, that I do everything I can from my own personal experience and knowledge. Or if I don't know, I'm gonna put them in contact with somebody else that knows, just as well, right? Because that's what I think a coach should do. And to me, if you're not bought in and if you're not invested into your young people, then don't coach. Go find something else to do, right? But young person, when you get a coach that's invested in you, then you show some respect, right? Look in the mirror and see if those are some things that you need to focus on this summer, right? Get yourself to where you're supposed to be early. When you're on time, you're late. Okay. When you're on time, that means you're late. You should show up 10 to 15 minutes before the scheduled time of what summer workouts and practice is, right? And if you can't be there, make sure you let the coach know well enough in advance. Hey, I got a job, and also talk to your job. Okay. Appreciate you, brother, my man Lamont Ginyard. Yeah, appreciate you joining me too, brother. Um, but yeah, you got to be sure that when you have a coach, man, he or she is invested in you and trying to make sure, that they help develop your skill set. And you heard them say, um, you know, um, that trying to help you get to where you want to be. You gotta be sure you follow. You gotta make sure you follow that. Um, Lamont said you need a track coach for your niece. Okay. I'll hit you up because yeah, coach. There's a coach. That matter of fact, the coach at CCC. I don't know if he's still coaching there. Um, but Sean Watson. Sean Watson is a former Olympian. That coach. He was a longtime coach at Clearwater Central Catholic, he was the head coach, and I helped him out, Lamont. I'll try to give you his information. I think he still does some training on the side. Back in the hometown there. So I'll touch bases with him and see what he's up to and let you know if he is or not. But absolutely, I try to do that. And also, uh, Wayne Barber, Lamont Wayne Barber, who we grew up. I know he has the track club that he's been doing for years back home in St. Pete. So I think Dwight Barber, yeah, Barber. I know. I'll touch base with him as well. Hey, Coach Rod, appreciate you. Um, I'll call you, Lamont, for sure, for sure. Appreciate you, Coach Rod. That's my man, Coach A man. Um, I just shared with you all about Coach Rod a little bit, giving an example. He's coached a lot of young men back home in our area, and quite a few of them have made it to at the next level. Coach Rod is very involved, and so that's why I tell some of you young athletes out there and parents, sometimes you need to invest, right, into your athlete, whether it's a DB coach, a wide receiver coach, a quarterback coach, linebacker coach. Um, you know, these kids are very skillful today, because a lot of us, right, a lot of us who had the blessing of making it, and we've had opportunity to show our kids, because we didn't necessarily have that, maybe it's for some of us from our parents, but a lot of kids today, parents can say they probably played high school sports at least. Quite a few can say today that they played college sports and possibly at the next pro level, right? So these kids, there are so many things out there for kids um, to get better in their sport and to be better students as well. You want to make sure that they're focusing on that as well, because the first hurdles that you should be working on this summer is getting yourself mentally right, because you got to be, you can't be stressing yourself out, right? It's gonna be what it's gonna be. All right. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Follow the programs that your coaches have set out there for you, okay, or your trainer, right? There's no need to be overtraining and all this stuff, okay? And be sure that your trainer is working in the parameters with your high school coaches. All right. So be sure you're communicating about what your high school coach is wanting you to do and focus on to your personal trainer. Okay, that stuff should work hand in hand. All right, but you got to train your mental to be right, right, and by not putting too much pressure on yourself. Okay, and you get your physical training because we all know most of this stuff is mental. You got to, when it comes to training and all that stuff, training the physical part, you know, that's not easy, but it's because if you're not mentally strong, if you don't work on your mental being strong, okay, then you're not gonna make it physically. All right. So that's why it's good to have, not just your coach at your high school, but also have a personal trainer. There's nothing wrong with that. But like those things should be working hand in hand. Both of those folks should be working hand in hand because you want a good return on your investment. Parents, you want a great return on your investment because when you look at the cost of college education, if your child is blessed to play at the next level, whether it be Division 1, FBS, or 1AA FCS, or NCAA Division 2, okay, some may have to play Division 3. No big deal there. But like I said, those first two hurdles, man, is your academics and what you look like. When coaches are recruiting kids, you're gonna notice whenever you see a coach, when you go to these camps this summer, they're gonna put their eyes on you and see if you pass the eye test. They want to see if they can tell if you're committed to or if you really love this game by looking at what kind of work you've been putting in physically, right? Because that's the first thing we look at for athletes. I don't care if you're male or female. Coaches are looking to see what kind of body, you have, and if you look like you've been putting in work, right, in your training, right, and in your development, okay. And like I said, I'm going to reference football and track and field mostly because that's what I did mainly. My boys played football and baseball, right? So there's times when I would go out and, hit grounders, hit fly balls, hit line drives because my kids played baseball. But these coaches, when they recruit you, they are going to look and see what your body looks like. And you want to be able to show, that you have a love for the game because you've been putting in work physically. And then it's going to be time for you to put work in physically when they take you through whatever test, right? Catching ground balls, right? Catching fly balls, batting, right? When you're a receiver, you're route running, right? How well you get in and out of breaks. Do you catch the ball with your eyes first, right? Because you got to see the ball with your eyes. So your hands grab that football. Coach Rod he knows that's how he coach him. Catch the ball with your eyes first, right? So when you go to these camps, you want to be sure you perform at a high level if you want to be recognized, to be recruited for your sport and whatever sport you're playing, right? Now, track and field, when it comes down to track and field, they're looking at times, right? But still, you got to pass the eye test, okay? I've had this conversation with my track coach here at the college where I work at here locally, talking to him, pulling him aside, asking him. He's like, oh, man, you know, kids need to email more. Kids need, he's telling, email or send video when it comes to track and field. Make sure you have legitimate times recorded, all that stuff, right? When it comes down to track and field. And so I'm excited for the Olympics coming up, right? But you want to get recruited in track and field, if you're a serious 400-meter sprinter in high school, you need to be running like under 50, right? You need to probably be running around 48. So whatever training you need to do, get you a personal trainer in track and field to help you work on what you need to do. Sometimes you got to overtrain. I remember talking to Carl Lewis one time, having an opportunity to talk to him. He said the reason why he was strong in the 200 because he would go to Europe and run. They would do 300 races in the 300, and he would run and he would train doing 400s. So he would be strong for the 200 meter. But then he would also make sure, he did his short distance sprint work for the 100 meter, right? So sometimes you're going to be strong in the 100. You got to learn how to work the second part of that race in the 100 meters. Same thing with the 200. You got to learn there are stages, there are phases, right, in certain competitions when it comes to track and field, whether it's an 800. If you watch track and field is on, that's what some of the things that you guys need to be doing that I didn't mention is this summer. If you're a track and field, if you're football, watching spring league, or if you're baseball, and we got in softball, we got the College World Series going on, and men's and women's baseball and softball. You need to be sitting in front of that TV when you've done all your work. Schedule some of your work and your training around catching some of these things on TV, some of these games on TV. You need to watch the people that are doing it, who are playing where you want to be at. You need to go see what some of them look like, because one day you plan on being on that TV in the College World Series in softball and baseball, just like what you're watching right now. So it ain't always about you training. Get your training done, get yourself in front of a TV, watch some of these players, because that's where you're planning on being one day. So you got to watch the people that are doing it now and being successful, right? This is what you need to be doing this summer. Go back and watch. We got Google. Go back and watch some of the top people. My dad, I wish we'd had Google, but anytime Walter Payton would come on TV and they would talk about Walter Payton, my dad would sit me down like, hey, you want to be a good running back? Look at what Gale Sayers right here. Look at Walter Payton. When they would do specials showing how they would do training, my dad sometimes would catch it and like, hey, yeah, you see this right here? This is what you want to be a running back. You got to watch what other people, people who have done it already. You need to put eyes on them, right? So it can't be you in a PlayStation game all the time. I mean, those things are great, and that's cool to do that. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, because the way those games are today, it can teach you some things, but you still got to actually go sit down and see those people who are playing the sport that you love and you desire to be at that level one day. You got to put eyes on them. You got to put eyes on them, right? That's right, Lamont. Yeah, keep telling them that same thing. You got to go watch. I mean, I would not miss certain football games when I knew football was coming on, or track and field was coming on, Olympics or anything like that. Man, I'm all in, right? I can't be running the streets all the time, or running behind some girl, or running, you female running behind some dude, right? And I said this before. I've seen a lot of good athletes when I was in college playing football leave the school because of some girl, right? And that can't be the case, right? That stuff is going to come and go, and that's why parents, you can't set your kids up for failure. You got to start grooming them now, right? Especially when they get in high school. We got to start preparing our young people to leave home, right, the right way. So that's why sometimes sending them to a camp for a day or two, okay, away from home, is going to start helping prepare them, okay, that, because there are some kids aren't prepared to leave home, and that's why some of them get in the transfer portal. That's why some of them come home. That's why some of them fall to the girlfriend or the boyfriend stuff, right? Now we can't control them. You got to loosen up the reins a little bit and start holding them accountable when they're in 11th and 12th grade to be responsible and making good decisions. They're going to make mistakes, and we can't beat them up about it. But we got to start, by 11th, 12th grade, you got to start, loosen the reins a little bit. Hey, okay, I need to see you. You need to be in by midnight, right? When you're a junior and senior, because when they go off to college, you're not going to be around. They're going to be up. They're going to do whatever they want to do. But at least teach them something. At least give them a foundation on how to use common sense, right? My wife tells me all the time, she's a nurse. She said that front part of the brain for these young people is not fully developed, that deals with reasoning, is not fully developed until they're about 25, right? So we got to do our best to help teach them, right, how to make good decisions as best as possible. Teach them how to be prepared to leave home, okay? Whether they're a boy or girl, we got to teach them. Everybody gets homesick, right? Well, we got to teach them. You got to tell them up front. I tell kids all, you're going to get homesick, and it's okay. Work through it, right? Use your resources. Call your high school coach when you're feeling homesick, if you're somewhere. Call mama, call dad. right? And sometimes it's not always about mom and dad. So, I made a point to make sure my kids had, not just their uncle, but, you know, like I said, my son had his QB coach. Um, and, when he was in college, it was somebody I trusted. Parents, find some people you trust, right? Because sometimes they don't always want to hear from mom and dad, right? Sometimes they want to hear from uncle they got a good relationship with, or their aunt that they have a good relationship with that can talk to them and keep them encouraged, because sometimes the mom and dad, we might go off the wrong way and say the wrong thing, even though it might be right. We may be coming off not the way we should, not listening sometimes, So sometimes it's good to have that aunt or uncle or that godmom or that godfather that's close, right, to your young person to help keep them encouraged. So when they do get homesick, right, they have somebody to call other than mom and dad that is going to trust, that you trust is going to call you after they get off the phone with baby boy or baby girl and say, hey, I just talked to so and so, and he had a little rough time, but we had a good talk. Praying for him, praying for her. I told him, hey, keep their head up. I sent them a little money, right? Mom, you send that care package, send some goodies, right? Send them chocolate chip cookies and them brownies that you famously make, and send them up to your son or daughter to make sure they get a little bit of home taste of that food, so they don't get so homesick. And usually by the time you get through that first year of being homesick, you ready to go back. You come home for Christmas break and you realize, young person, I ain't really missing anything. That my life is pretty doggone good. I got this opportunity to play a sport that I love and make sure that financially now with name, image, and likeness, NIL, I got a chance possibly to make some money to help my family out, send some money home to mama, and dad, or you know, able to fly them up to a game or something like that to where they can see me play, you know. Um, so things are a lot different. Um, but you know, it just needs to be some good communication, right? You need to this summer for some of you all who are getting ready to go off to college. You got your scholarship, or you about to walk on somewhere. Take advantage of your opportunity. Okay, take advantage of this opportunity. You don't waste your time. Don't waste anybody's time. Don't waste your parents' time spending money and sending you on a plane somewhere to, and they got hopes and dreams, but you gotta want them, young person. You gotta want it more than your parents, right? I know me and my boys, we used to sit around in the dorms and talk, man, like, man, I ain't going back home, man. What's to go home? We gotta make it happen, man. We gotta make it happen. I can't go back home and embarrass. There's a lot of folks back home, that appreciate the fact that some of us went off and did and accomplished what we did, because they know, man, shoot, if y'all go do it, man, you're gonna be able to come back home and help some other folks. You're gonna open that door for some other people to be able to walk through, right? And so that's what it's all about. You can't think just about yourself. Think about those ones that you want to open the door up to come behind you, right? So parents, you gotta be sure you do everything you can to make sure you prepare your young person. That's why I say it has to start in middle school. You can't wait. You got to start preparing them now. Get them in some camps. Get them around some other their peers in their sport so they can see what the competition is like and help them build some confidence. Okay, and help them see what kind of work they're gonna have to put in. Because there's some other kids out here that can ball, right? And so you got to understand every level you go up, from little league football to high school, right? There's a transition period. The talent gets closer, right? Where everybody's getting better. Like everybody's pretty good, right? And then when you go from little league to high school, now you're going from JV football in high school to varsity football in high school, right? And you got to be mentally ready to, the speed of the game, right? Because everybody now is smarter and more skilled, right? Than that JV was, right? Because now you're going up to varsity, and you're playing with a little bit of older kids now too, possibly, right? Because I got moved up on varsity in 10th grade, and when our JV season was over, and got to play with the older boys in 10th grade for a couple of games, and the speed of the game, man, was like woo, like night and day, right? And I remember getting in the game, and got to play. I was a running back, but we did like the wishbone and the veer option, so I got in to do a little bit of quarterback, And I remember I ran the ball on one carry for 9 yards. I was running scared, y'all, right? Because it was an adjustment. And and I'm out here with these big boys, these older boys, right? But that one play, right? That one play made a big difference, in the older boys that were playing on the team. Like, yeah, boy, yeah, little Smitty, yeah, boy, you looking good. And I'm saying to myself, man, y'all don't know how scared I was. I was run. I know it was a 9 yard run, bounced off a couple of tackles because my mindset is, hey, where we came from, where we grew up, it was like, hey, you better represent, right? You getting this opportunity, you better go in there and represent. And we know you can do it. And so that was always like that positive peer pressure on you, because they knew you could ball, right? And you didn't want to show that you were scared, but inside it's like, oh shoot. But that experience, that love, and that's what get that adrenaline going. When you like, man, you have a little bit of success, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do this, right? And I got my boys behind me, the older guys, kind of like, moving you on, like, and encouraging, like, yeah, man, you can do this, right? And so then you go from playing varsity high school football to college, in the speed of the game, it changes, it gets faster. Everybody's smarter in the game, right? More kids are watching film, right? You may not been taught to watch film that well in high school. Well, you better get on it. I don't care what sport you play. You better learn how to watch some video of your opponent and break down what they're doing and go back and look at yourself, right? These are some things you need to be doing this summer. Go back and look at some of your games in your sport. Evaluate yourself, right? Go back and look at what you could have done better on a play, right? Or how you could have better prepared yourself for that game that y'all may have lost, right? That you could have won, right? And your body language on the field, because coach is going to look at that stuff too. What's your body language like? You got your head down, your hands on your hips, you know, those kind of things you got to work on. Go back and look at yourself and evaluate yourself, and then mentally write that stuff down so you will know, hey, this is what I got to work on. Okay. Right. And when I get to these camps, these summer camps in my sport, I got to be sure that I go out and do these drills, whatever sport it is, batting for baseball, soccer, I don't care, kicking the ball, dribbling the ball in soccer, um, whatever it may be. Practice these things before you get to these camps so you're prepared to catch someone's eye. Okay. That they see, okay, this kid's development is where we'd like for it to be, by the time they come here. Right. So you gotta go back and evaluate yourself. Be honest, right? Be honest with yourself. Go get that film, break it down. Okay, look at yourself, right? And ask yourself, hey, what could I have done better here, right? What do I need to do better, right? I told you, like, one of my teammates in college, Johnny Brown, was played high school ball with Deion Sanders at North Fort Myers, real good running back, right? And we played together at Morningside. Um, and you know, we would compete with each other about who threw the best block to spring us for a 75, 80 yard run or 50, no matter however long it was. But we both were fast and quick guys. We were both about the same size. We ran track together at Morningside as well, football and track, 4x1, all that stuff, 4x2. Johnny was a heck of a ball player. But we would get on each other about, oh man, no, hey, you see my block? We prided ourselves not just on running the football, not just on catching the football or scoring touchdowns. We held each other accountable for, hey man, I got you, right? Even in the huddle, we break the huddle. We look at each other like, hey, I got you on this. You know, and we would say, hey man, he's like, hey, when I make this kick out, hey, cut that thing up now. And I say the same thing, hey boy, hey, when I come down on this DN's hip, right? When I come down on this hip, you better hit that corner, you better hit that edge, right? We prided ourselves on that, right? Making sure that we help each other be successful, being a good teammate. But go back and evaluate yourself. Go back and look and see what you could have done to help yourself. Especially you guys that are rising seniors. You got one more year, or you're a rising junior. You got 2 more years, or you're a rising sophomore. But you got to play varsity. You know, though that speed level of those games, man, it changes, right? And you got to ask yourself, am I ready, right? Am I mentally ready to take on this? I remember my freshman year. at running back, getting in college, and I've shared this before as an example. It helped me decide. Hey, I remember coming out, releasing out of the backfield on a little 5 yard out, and the quarterback just slightly overthrew me, and I tried to dive to bring it in, and and dove and slid, and as I was getting up, two linebackers, man, came across my head. Playing, I remember it was South Dakota State. I remember it like it was yesterday. South Dakota State, Jackrabbits. Man, them two linebackers came across my head. I got up, looked at the ref, and like, ref, what's up? And the ref said to me, "Welcome to college football, 2-7." Some of these refs know who you are. He's like, welcome to college football, 2-7. And I was like, they let me know the speed, just like I just remember how I changed from JV football to varsity football, from varsity football to college, that speed, the skill level. These people, these guys you're playing against, they're prepared, you know, and they're gonna talk trash. They know where you're from. They're like, hey, yeah, all right, Florida boy, you in South Dakota playing ball now. What's up? And just like, okay, oh, now you done did something. You done pushed the button. Don't see, you done push that wrong. You done push that button. Where I'm finna do some. I got to represent where I'm from, and I took care of business. But that moment that I experienced, because those boys could play in the Midwest. Don't get it twisted. Now, there's some great football. And they're gonna let you know, and you got to decide. You know, hey, am I prepared to do what I need to do? Did I have good preparation during the summer, during the off season, right? And when the season started, how good was my preparation pre-game and all that during the week, right? Start these good habits. Start having some good study habits in the classroom. Because if you got good study habits in the classroom, you'll have good study habits in the video room for your sport, right? To help you understand this game and how it could be a blessing to you, open up doors for you. It may open up doors to play at the next level. It may open up doors for you to coach at the next level, right? Or get in some sort of, go work at, uh, in sports in some capacity, building relationships, right? My son's quarterback coach, Coach John Kaleo, was a quarterback at University of Maryland, and he was a teammate of the founder of Under Armour. Small world, right? His teammate was the Under Armour founder at University of Maryland. So, you have opportunities that come to you like that, right? That you just never know. And you don't want to miss out on those opportunities. So be sure, young people, that you are using this summer to help you get prepared to have a successful new year coming up, right? So put the work in, right? Parents, find the camps that your young person needs to go to so they can have an experience to to allow them to develop, like they need to develop mentally, right? Physically, all those good things, preparing them, get ready to leave home to get that scholarship, right? And like I said, everybody can't go D1, but there's a lot of good schools out there. There's a lot of good schools, at every level. Okay. So you be rest assured some of your top Division II schools in the nation could probably be FCS schools, right? It's about money. It's about the money. That's the only difference between a Division I and other schools is the money. If you have the more money you have access to in your athletic program, you can move up to be Division I because you can bring in, a lot more talent, right? So, but that's what it's all about. But some kids, because maybe they didn't, you know, weren't developed as well as they, could have been, you missed out maybe going Division I. And sometimes it's normal. Some kids don't develop until later, right? And that's okay. And you may, like I said, that's the reason why we also have some athletes in the transfer portal. It's because they were maybe late bloomers, and now they've developed, they've gotten older, they've gotten better skill, better development, better access to uh, um, you know, weightlifting equipment and all those different things and program. Appreciate you, Lamont. I'll holler at you. I got your number, and I'll give you a shout for sure. Um, Sometime this week I'll give you a shout. I appreciate you joining me. But yeah, so let's make sure you do all the things that you need to do to help your summer go well, to give you a good opportunity, a solid opportunity to get some sort of scholarship at some level. Okay. And we also have NAIA. There's some good NAIA schools out there that give scholarships. But like I said, ultimately the goal is, how can you get your education paid for, where that financial burden is not so hard on you and your parents. Okay. It's same with students who are just, if they just strong academics. They're not sports, but hey, if they got some strong academics, you're going to get your opportunity to get some merit scholarship money, even some athletes, because you're a really good student, strong academics, you give yourself a chance to get some merit scholarship money, right? As well as some athletic scholarship money. That's what it's all about. How can I lessen the burden on myself and my parents and getting my education taken care of, right? That's what it's all about. It ain't necessarily about football or basketball. I mean, it is somewhat, but hey, the main goal is, how can we create some good young people, some good young men, some good young ladies, right? And hey, and nobody's perfect. People are going to make mistakes, but we don't have to make major mistakes, right? There's some things we can avoid that we don't have to experience. Okay, there's some things we don't have to experience, right? And we experience some of those things because we made some bad decisions, and maybe because we didn't have access to somebody to help teach us or to show us, or some people that you were involved with didn't take the time to show you, like they knew better, but maybe they weren't doing a good job of coaching you or mentoring you like they should, like they know they should. Um, so that's why I said, there's some people that's coaching that shouldn't be coaches. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. I had that situation growing up with my head coach in high school, right? There's some people that shouldn't be coaches, and that's just the truth. But for those coaches who take the job serious, who are invested in their young people like they should be, um, parents, don't give them coaches problems. All right. You need to be leaning on your athlete to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. Right. You're at a high school where they have a reputation of putting people in college. There shouldn't be a whole lot of riffraff going on. Right. I tell kids, you so caught up about how much playtime, if you're starting or this or that, those things have some importance, but take the best of your opportunity. Like, wins and losses don't matter to college recruiters. Your record don't matter to them. What matters is, are you committed? Do you have a love for the game? Are you a good teammate? Are you a supportive teammate, or are you a problem in the locker room or on the team? They want to know, are you committed to being the best you, right? And being the best teammate that someone could have. It's great that you want to win. I'm not saying you shouldn't be committed to wanting to win. You definitely should. But recruiting is not based off on your one-loss record, right? If I'm a running back, I want to be sure, hey, I got to share the load. I'm not the only good running back on my team. But hey, what does my yards per carry look like? What do my yards per catch look like? What kind of impact do I make in the game when I'm out there on the field catching the football? Am I making plays when I get my opportunities? Right? Even though they may be limited, coaches know what these rosters look like. And when coaches come out doing spring football, they already know where some of these kids are going that are seniors. Right? They're looking for the 10th grade. They want to know who the rising sophomores and rising juniors and rising seniors are when they come out for spring football, to see what's going on when these college coaches come recruiting. Right? And I just learned something recently, listening to a Division II coach. Is he shared on Coach Derek Tatum, that I follow with Elite Talent Football out of Georgia. watching one of his videos this week. He was at, I think, Finley University, and talking to the coach, and they're a pretty top D2 program. And the coach said they don't start recruiting their kids until they're seniors in high school, because they're really looking for the kids who are Division 1 material, and for whatever reason, uh, you know, wasn't able to go to that D1 school, or some kids that decide, hey, I'm not getting like some major Division 1 offers. I may be getting some lower Division 1 offers that match up to me going and playing top level Division 2 football, and I may have to sit the bench, right, for a year or two if I went to D1. Where if I went Division 2, I might get on the field by my freshman sophomore year, right? There's a good chance. It's a good chance when you go D2 in some instances that you might get on the field sooner. But now the Division 2 programs are flooded with some Division 1 type players that, hey, you might sit the bench for a year, right? Because the talent is just so deep at D2 schools, right? You may want to start looking at not just the top D2 schools, but go look at a D2 school that they're right on the brink of being a top program. They're just a few players short, right, of being a top rated D2 program, and they need somebody like you that may not have any Division 1 offers, or you might have one or two, right, or you may have a few FCS offers coming in, or you may just end up liking this D2 program, because you didn't have a lot of Division 1 offers, or no Division 1 offers, and you may have only had some FCS and Division 2 offers. Right now, you got to try to juggle and decide, what's the best place for me to go, right, and develop for a couple of years, and then maybe try to go Division 1, because that's working out for a lot of guys. And if you are, and I tell athletes, if you are that girl or if you are that guy and you didn't get a chance to go D1, but you had a D2 program, even a D3, and if you are that person, then you should be the top player on that team your freshman and sophomore year. You should be balling out, and then look to transfer, you know, after your sophomore year or freshman year. Depends on how good you are. I know that kid that played at Missouri that just graduated this past year. He was the top Division 2 running back his first 2 years in college, and then went on to SEC, I should say SEC, Southeastern Conference with University of Missouri, and was a top rushing running back in the SEC after leaving a D2 school being a top running back. So he stood on business, right? He knew he had Division 1 ability, but it didn't work out for him like that, you know. And even though it didn't work out like that for him his first 2 years, he made sure he went and balled out his freshman and sophomore year in college at the D2 program he went to. And then when he got his opportunity to play Division 1 football, he showed that he was that guy, right? And that's what you have to do. If you know you're Division 1 material, but you didn't get the looks, you better go ball out, young man, young lady. Go ball out where you have to go now. As long as you got a scholarship to get your education paid for, go ball out and show your worth. And then after about a year or two of getting developed, at that D2 program, now you can look and see if there's an opportunity for you to go D1. And there's a good chance you could, if you show that you are that guy, that you are that girl, right? So prove that. Prove that to yourself. Right? Show that to yourself. Because if you prove it and show it to yourself, then trust me, you're gonna make some believers out of some coaches at those programs that you decide if you want to transfer and go play Division 1, right? But you can't be sitting here saying, "Hey, I'm that guy, I'm that girl," and you at the D2 program, and you don't pan out. You got to stay focused. You got to keep that focus that you have, right, or that you had, hoping that you would get a Division 1 offer, but you had to go the Division 2 route or the FCS route. You need to go ball. You need to go ball out, right? You should be playing by your freshman sophomore year. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you really can play ball in whatever sport that is, you need to show that, hey, you are that Division 1 type, right? There was a lot of guys that I played with in Division 2 ball that I know could have played Division 1, not just on my team, even some of the other teams we played against. You know, so that's what happens sometimes. But today is more opportunity. with social media and different things like that, and more access to get video to people, um, good video to people, you can show that you have that ability, and that, hey, how do we miss this person, right? So that's what you want the conversation to be when you send your film to somebody you're trying to transfer. It's like, hey, how do we miss you coming out of high school? You look good at this D2 school. Yeah, we're interested in you transferring because we're losing people at that position, right? So be sure you take your summer training preparation, that you're zoned in and focused with your summer training. Be sure you're communicating with your coaches, young lady, young man. If you got a job, or, don't be late, right? Be early. Being early is on time, right? Being on time is late, all right? So be sure that you take and give the coach respect to their program and what they're trying to do at your high school, and uh, and just understand that, hey, when you get to the college level, man, everybody is great, and definitely at the pro level. You talk to anybody that's made it at the pro level, everybody is great, because everybody has pretty, on the most part, have pretty good habits. As crazy as some things that not Anthony, but Antonio Brown did, everybody would tell you. I know I've heard Ryan Clark say it. I've heard other people say it. Nobody could tell you that that um that he wasn't serious about his preparation. Nobody ever questioned Antonio Brown's preparation. Everybody has always said how good. Um and so don't get it twisted. Your preparation and your work ethic um um is important. Your preparation is very important, and be sure that you take it serious, and you take your coach's program serious, and work on yourself. Watch video of yourself, see what it is that you need to correct, right? In your game, in your sport, and have a great summer, have a great summer camp season, and use that to catapult you into having a great year next year, and help increase your exposure, right? To get recruited, and to get those scholarship opportunities that you're looking and desiring to have, right? That's what you guys athletes have to do every summer, until you become a senior in high school, and it's time to get those scholarship opportunities, right? Use your summers just like that, all right? And get yourself ready. You know, be sure that you're that good teammate, that good player for your program, for your coach. And coaches, be sure that you're invested in your young people. Be sure you communicate them and have real talk, real conversations with them, whether it be one on one with certain guys, or even as a team. And bring some people in if you need to bring people in, right? And talk to your players, talk to your athletes. Well, I appreciate you guys joining me. Like I said, I'm going to be having some interviews. Um, Dexter was on here. Rogers was on here. He's going to be one of my interviews. That's going to be coming up in June, talking about volleyball and his story. From recruiting, all that stuff, trying to help get this information to you guys, right, as quickly and as much as possible, to help you be successful in your sport and achieving your dream of getting a scholarship and getting your education paid for, and using that to hopefully get you at the next level of whatever it is that you want to do in life, whether it be in your sport professionally, or playing that sport, or coaching, whatever it may be, right? Being around the game. There's so many opportunities in today to work for a television company, a news company, sports company, whether it be at a college or university coaching, being a reporter, you want to be in communications, and you want to be around sports, or working for an agent, or um, the working for a team, a pro team in your sport. There's a lot of opportunities. Okay, so have a great summer. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday night, um, for a follow up on the schedule of interviews that'll be coming up this month. So appreciate you guys. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That button in the left. Share this with your kids, your nieces, your nephews, your uncles, aunts, cousins, your young athletes. Get on here with Love the Game 24/7 and Coach Smith, your host, um, with Love the Game 24/7 podcast, man, and get all this good and great information that can help your young athlete get to the next level and achieve a scholarship to help pay for their education, right? Get the word out. Follow me on IG as well, Love the Game 24_7, right? Um, I have a program that you can sign up for and pay for if you want to have coaching, mom and dad, for you and your young athlete on navigating through the recruiting process. I'm available. You can email me at lovethe247game@gmail.com. And I want to make sure that your young person is ready, and you as a parent as well are ready, right, on what you're going to have to go through and deal with through this recruiting process. So take care of yourselves, guys. Have a great weekend. And for the upcoming Father's Day, you guys have a blessed Father Day that's coming up. And take care of your fathers out there, folks. All right. Appreciate you guys. Love you.